Right, it was a wonderful week, especially for gold continued to sort of edge higher, which was quite impressive because we'd had this big move on Friday, but it kept on doing sort of higher highs, higher lows generally. We sort of reclaimed this ascending. I think it's actually nullified anyway, so let's just get rid of it. We closed above the last resistance. It'd be nice to have closed above 3,400, but I don't think it's too much of a big deal. Next stop is 3,450. If we close about 3,450, we go to 3,500 very easily. I'm not going to look at the DXY yields. It has a slight effect, but I think we're doing this move regardless. I think all the stars were aligned. This gold tariff thing, I'm not sure how relevant that is, but it's the big things. It's the monetary and the fiscal, the Doge. The one thing that scared me was Doge spending cuts. I didn't expect them to be um that big, that pronounced, and that legal. I didn't even think it'd be legal. I thought it was like a little think tank initially. But that's gone. Big, beautiful bill. That just proves we're just the deficits, the spending, the debt, the monetary easing that everyone's expecting. All of that stuff is just guaranteeing that we're going to keep going higher, that central banks will buy, investors. So I think all the stars are aligned. Yes, you could have a surprise Ukraine-Russian peace treaty, but even if that happens, I see gold dropping 50, $100, but the miners probably not that much, right? It'd be one of those gold down 5%, miners down 6 instead of 12, and it'd be buy the dip because long term nothing's changed. I think people are starting to wake up to that. So, and I think that's the reason why should there be no peace treaty? Should it be business as usual next week? Gold will pretty much go test 3,450. So watch for 3,450 close above, and then 3,500 is inevitable. And you could get one of those, we close above, we go side, we go up, we retest, and then we go up. And instead of it taking this long, it probably lasts like this long. But yeah, gold, absolutely no problem with gold. Silver did, I would say, even better. Similar move, similar chart, although whereas gold has two levels, 3,450, 3,500, silver really only has one, and that's 39.50. I don't even think 39 is really a level. I think it's a intraday level. So silver maybe even a better chart, and that's bullish. When silver's outperforming or more bullish looking than gold, and when the juniors or the mid tiers are looking more bullish than the seniors, which also recently I would say is the case. SILJ, for example, although GDX led the charge, but that's also what you expect. Uh, and also defensively on the way down, GDX outperformed. I remember that. So silver looks good. I'm only going to look on the way up. If we go down because surprise treaty or there's just some sideways action, fine. I'll review the downside support zones. But generally, I'm going to look more at the miners because that's pretty much what I own. I own gold, but I otherwise just own miners, gold and silver miners. GDX, bit tired. It started the move. It did its thing. It's like booster rockets. Once you're in space, you lose the booster rockets and the shuttle keeps going. And well, I don't know if that's the best analogy here. It's not actually. But GDX was I don't know, not tired, just, didn't keep going once it hit 58. 58 was a level. I think with this tiny little laptop, I can't even zoom out enough to see the next level. But after 58, it should be 64-ish, 63, 50, because 60 is not much of a level, maybe an intraday level, but big move to the next zone. But then again, if gold's going to go to 3,500 and break out, that's probably where you're going to be by then. You're probably going to have GDX around, 6350 slash 67, which is the two final levels before you're at new all-time highs. GDX, which is probably where we should be already, or should have been ages ago. GDXJ, nowhere near outperforming GDX, which is good because we own a lot of mid tiers and juniors. And it just guarantees that there'll be a lot more profit to be made because if GDX is going to hit 67 and be at 2011 highs, then GDXJ should be at 180, but it's not, and that's a wonderful thing, even more upside. Next level I got for that is around 77 and then 83. Um, just to see how far away that is percentage wise. Very nice close, new highs, 6%. That's good. So if we look at the candle we have there, bit like GDX, bit tired, but closing above resistance, kind of proving that the uptrend is still there. And I love this fake breakdown. It doesn't get more bullish than that. And look at that, went straight through. So could have a little downside, sideways action next week, but it's just to get back some energy. It might be a tiny bit exhausted. And I like this instead of squeezing, right? The silver squeeze. And even I put the hashtag in there, but it's not happening, and it's a good thing because we've squeezed twice before and it's come back down several days later and it's stayed down for years. I think what we're doing now is going slowly, but it's a permanent move. And it's just torture for the shorts and it's fuel for the miners. So I really like this slow but steady move up. SIL. SIL, that's nice. Nice little hammer. Stronger than the GDX, GDXJs, which are more gold related, let's say. Also hitting resistance, just closing around there, 54, whatever it really is, 70, let's say. Looks good. Looks like it wants to continue. SIL, actually, I think it's SIL that took out its 2016 high, right? But what's this? Well, whatever it is, 54.34. It's pretty much just taken out its 2016 peak. That is bullish. That's a decade-long trend line. So SIL looks stronger and it's probably got good reason. It's not catching up to do. And if silver starts to take out 39.50 and starts hitting that 40, once you start to see a 4 in front of silver, can you imagine? This should run to 60, outperformance. It'll be one of those, I'm going to say standard, because we see it quite a lot. Silver outperforming gold, silver miners outperforming gold miners, silver juniors outperforming the silver seniors, and it'll just be huge moves like we saw this week, right? CD like 35%, heckler 20% in a day or something. It's just the start. Everyone else had fun for years with their Nvidias and their Apples and all this trash, but I think we're going to start to have a lot of fun and it's going to last. It's not going to be some squeeze and drop 2 days later. So SIL, very significant close there. So let's wait for a little silver up move. And there's only one resistance level. Once you close above 39.50, you can all take a guess. I can't wait to get back home with my big screens. I'll be able to precisely tell you where I think the levels are. I don't think 40 is a level, probably an intraday level. I think it's 41.50, 42, 43, something like that. But anyway, SIL, absolutely wonderful. SILJ, I don't think it took out its, yeah, it's a bit like GDXJ versus GDX. It hasn't done as well, which is good. More money to be made. Prefer it to have not outperformed than to have outperformed at this stage. But we do have a level at 18. There's two levels. There's this horizontal high, and we've also got this descending. The 2016 high being $20. That is obviously a level. We're gonna get there. Just there's three levels before that, or two before that, and then we hit it as a third one. So, and how much of a percentage move to get from where we are to 18? 7%. You can do that on one good day. One day where silver closed above 39.5, you could get SILJ hitting 18, and then the follow through 40 in silver, and this thing just goes to 20. You could do it in 1 week, one good week, like this week. So for example, let's look at this candle, this weekly candle, 15%. You just add that there. Yeah, basically at 20, or 19. Whatever. Then the next week you do it. Or you could even have a better week next week than versus this week. Why not? It would be justified, right? Silver takes out 40. You probably will be at 20. Absolutely amazing. I don't mind, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes sideways. And yes, we do have some gaps that we could feel. We could be a bit disappointed. But me, I know long term, I've already mentioned why I think long term we're going up, up and staying up. A move back down is a dip buying opportunity, just like all the other dips. For me, a dip is sort of 4 or 5%. As you can see, that's what this is, 4 or 5%. If we dip from there to the next level, 8%, I'd buy that. I'd buy this every sort of level, right? And the same with the other ETFs, SIL and GDX and all that. But for me, a dip move, even though I think it's going to go up, if we go down, I'll just be buying the dips in the best, probably all the stocks I own. They've all proved themselves to be worthy of my money. So that's the ETFs. Let's check out the portfolio real quick. Newmont ends the day unchanged, but it hits 70. I had a little sell there, 69.99. Obviously, it's a habit. I like to sell, especially at obvious levels, big numbers. Next level would be 75. And then I'm not even sure if 80 is a level. But anyway, we'll see 75 and then probably the old high. I mean, obviously has the justification to go to the old highs and break out of that. So Newmont, no problem. Little trim there. I don't think I've got any other sells in for it, but that makes sense with GDX having a similar sort of candle. Barrick also recently being strong, looks like an even probably outperformed GDX there. Look at that candle. That candle's even better. Not even a red day. Also at resistance. I think this is obvious resistance. Yes, look at that area. For me, that was obvious, and that's exactly where we hit. I do like my technicals. After that, 24 is not strong enough. Maybe an intraday level for a couple of minutes. Yeah, 26 is your next level. So if you got gold testing 3450, or maybe it's too high a move at 10%. Now you'd need gold at 3500 for this. And maybe you're breaking out already of 26 by the time you're there. Anyway, wonderful up week for Barrick. Also, Agnico. I don't know if Agnico is outperforming as it used to now. I think the Newmonts and the Barracks that are nowhere near their all-time highs, they're outperforming Agnico. But Agnico is just higher lows, higher highs all the time. So don't mind. I've got no more sales for Agnico. It's just completely exhausted all my little nibbles. Now I'm just watching it. And if we come back down, I'll probably just buy. I'm kind of used to this new way of investing where I'm buying on the way up. I'm so used to buying on the way down in all these years, but now it's just no problem. If Nico hits 130, all right, I'll buy one or two shares. Don't care. Goes down again, another two or three shares. Goes down again, four or five shares. I'm sure that in 1 year from now we're at 200. So no problem with it being a little tired the last 2 days. Pan American Silver, which basically follows SIL. Beautiful. New highs, 32, near resistance. There are lots of little resistance points. Yeah, that was one of them. Next one is around 34.50, then 36. If silver runs, this thing will run. If silver's at 40, this should be at 38. It probably won't be because that's still quite a big move, but I think it'll just hit through some of these resistance. So I'm not selling anything at 32.50. I might do a tiny nibble at 34.50 or something, or 34.49. Basically, this will just end up going towards 38 and eventually take out 40 and run. Can't wait to see how that one is when silver's past 40, but that's a nice week, basically a vertical move up. I mean, look at that. It's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. How much of a move was that from Friday? 20% for a senior. That's amazing. Wheaton, okay, just open at the high, close at the low. Not the most bullish candle at all, but it's taken out 100. I think 100 is the last sell I had for Wheaton. Now I'm just treating it like a Gnigo. Just leave it. No more sells. If it dips, then I buy. Dips decently. I don't even think I'd buy here. That's just too high. Probably buy down there. We might not even get there anymore. Especially if gold's going to visit 3,500 and run. This will make a lot of money. And it makes a lot of money in silver. I didn't know that. So this is just going to print money and the stock price will reflect that eventually. Well, it already does. Very nice week for Wheaton, despite the Friday candle. Franco-Nevada, that's had a good week because that was underperforming. It took out its descending. I removed that trend line. Up we went. Look at this technical level being respected, 172.5. Just having trouble getting through there. We might need a little confirmation from gold. You know, gold at least above 3,400, but 3,450. I think at 3,450 we're probably going to be at 180. How much of a move is that from where we are? 5%, yeah. If gold's at 3,450, Franco's at 180. And then we start to run towards 200 once gold starts to run for 3,500. So very nice Franco Nevada, especially a couple of weeks ago, we were down here looking like the trend is broken. But the trend is not broken. You buy on the weak technical levels, the support levels, because medium long term, nothing has changed. Even surprise peace in Ukraine for me changes nothing because it's monetary and fiscal, and that only gets better because it gets worse. Metalla looks even wow, that's probably the best streamer. These are the only three streamers I've got. Wheaton, Franco, and Metalla. Metalla is really starting to consistently look good now. Starting to get used to that. That's a great close. Great close. Any move up next week in any of the metals, and I think this has the excuse it needs to make the move it seems to want to do, which is 480. Do I have a sell at 479? If I do, I might just remove it. Nah, leave it in. Tiny, tiny sell for psychological reasons. Otherwise, this thing has a huge run to make, and it looks like it just wants to go straight through five. Basically, 590 seems like it's the big zone of resistance. So yeah, I'll probably nibble a little bit at 480 or something, but it's really the just under six that'll be a big level. Then eight will be a big level. Blah blah blah. We'll get there. But this looks very, very strong. All right, let's look at the mid-tier golds. I am gold. That had, I think it had bad news, but it just went back down to retest prior resistance, right? This is prior resistance, 750, the horizontal, 1, 2, 3, the descending line, retest, double support, and that's absolutely where we close the day. So we are at support. If gold goes up, I don't care what the news is, we're going back to eight. So probably 34.50 on gold equals $8, and 3,500, we're probably going to be above 840 by then. So I didn't buy back. I don't even know if I sold. I'm just ready to hold through. I'm getting a bit more chilled on the sells and the buys. Just sort of, it's obvious we're onto something big, and I'll buy dips, but the pops, I sell a little bit. Little nibs are still being sold, but a lot fewer actually. Equinox, yeah, not the best. I'm sure there was bad news. It's not really justified. This doesn't exist anymore. So this is obvious resistance, 670-ish. The pre-gap fill, you've got the all these little post-gap fill. This is probably a level, also a big number, 740. Equinox is weak, no doubt about it. If we go down, there's a support zone. I might buy a little bit there because I think long term this will be much higher. It's going to become a beast producer, if I'm not mistaken. So these are support levels to be bought because they're pretty low. I don't see us going much lower, even if there's more bad news. And I think 1 year, 1.5 years from now, you're basically, I don't even know, 10, let's see, way past nine. You're probably at 13 in 1.5 years, right? So that which is more than 100% from where we are now, especially if we drop more. So I'll buy dips. Um, and I may have a couple of nibble cells in there, which I'll leave just because they're worth nothing. It's more psychological. But yeah, if we dip a bit more, I might add. It's already still worth more than 4K, which is normally average value for a mid-tier for me. Anyway, not the best. Probably one of the worst, actually. B2 Gold, bad news, but bounced and ended up on support, prior resistance, right? 360. Had this line in for a while, so that's an okay. I think it's bad news. I mean, that's the only reason I can think of. But still, decent bounce off the lows. And yeah, if gold starts going 34.50, we'll probably be around 380. And if we're at 3,500, I don't care what the bad news is, but you are off beyond four and onto 430.40. So hold. Not buying, not selling, just hold. Let it all give it a couple of days to relax and see what happens with gold. If we come down to 330s, I don't know if I'll buy. It's in Africa. I don't need that. I prefer to buy, I don't know, Wheaton. SBSW. Yeah, I didn't really see the other metals, palladium, platinum. I don't think they had great days this week, unlike gold and silver. But still, this is hovering near its high. It's basically one level away from its new 52-week high, which is 980. So I think this we can delete now. So it's just hold and see. I'll say that's your support, whatever. Just holding. It's been trimmed. It's worth what it's supposed to be worth. I think it's like 4K or something. If we go down, it'll be worth a lot less very quickly, but then I can add. So it's worth 3.5. I don't know. This is a high risk one, so I'm never going to put too much in it, but it brings a lot of money. I mean, basically it's gone from 3 to 10. You know what I mean? It's hard to beat that in a couple of weeks. It's like times three your money. It's actually quite incredible. I forgot to Aris mining. Every time it dips, it just gets bought back. And I don't know if I bought the dip on this on Friday. I may have done. I think it had bad news. Eventually, this trend line is going to crack. Just going to cheat here and just accommodate that. Yeah, so maybe this is a little bit the level, $7. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just above seven into the ascending. All right, I'll buy at 7. I'll nibble at 7. If we start to lose it, fine, I'll let it fall down and then I'll finally create a real position out of this because it's worth very little, a bit like Metalla and a bit like B2 Gold. They stick out as not very valuable compared to the other mid and seniors. So I don't mind this actually, but this has just been going up non-stop. This has been one of the best performers since the very beginning of the year. Yeah, it was one of the ones that just started to run. Um, so I don't mind this. All right, onto the silver stocks. First Majestic, which has not been the strongest, but it's okay. Resistance around 890. We just need silver to run to 39.50. If silver starts to run to 950, I don't care how it's feeling. You get picked up and thrown to 950. And if we start to break out with silver 40, this thing is just gonna have to go into double digits, which will do very quickly because it's at 950 slash 10, not even 10, you're in the vacuum, right? There's really not much. There's maybe something there, but otherwise there's nothing until 14. This will be a squeeze, right? We're not squeezing in silver, but some stocks will squeeze. I think First Majestic, I'm surprised it hasn't already done it, but First Majestic will be one of those that's forced to squeeze. So just holding this, there were no sells, no, there were buys, of course. I bought pretty much everything on the drop down here across the board, gold and silver, but no sells, I think, in First Majestic. So let's see what happens with silver. After that is Fortuna. Now, Fortuna had a terrible day, which I bought the drop on. Didn't care what the news is. Didn't even really read into it. Just you buy it. It's on support, and I think silver's going up there 950 slash 40. Next day we're up 6%, so that's nice. Again, I think if 39.50 is being tested, this goes straight up to 7, where it will find resistance and maybe sell off a little bit. But doesn't matter, even though and actually that'd be quite bullish because that means we've recovered completely the drop. And yeah, if we're at 40, sorry, you're at 750, and we start to slow squeeze, not squeeze, just continue the run in silver. $41, $42, then Fortuna is obviously way beyond 750. And then we can start looking at the other trend levels a bit more, which are right here, right? 850, simple stuff. So Fortuna, pretty damn good bounce. CDE, I think is the best stock of the week for sure. Did 35%, just up, 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 up. So on Friday of last week, we were at 860 and now we're at 1170, 35%. Absolutely obscene stuff. Took out levels that I thought would have held. So I trimmed at 10.99. I think I sold at 9.99 and 10.99. Little sales, little sales. Next is going to be 12.49, little sell, and then it's just in its own vacuum in deep space at that point, and then we're going to go to 16 and then 30, and then you can probably all retire. Absolutely crazy, crazy stuff. This is the one that's made me so much money. Absolutely in love with it. Heckler, that one also had an incredible couple of days. This gap up and run was like 20%, maybe ended up 18%. Good news. That's all it needs. Then keeps going the next day. Testing. This really was perfect technically, like open just above resistance. And then next day closed after just testing resistance. I don't know. My lines sometimes, I really like them. So once we take out this 7, whatever it is, 770, next stop, I'll just have to trust it because I'm on my small laptop. 850, so a little 849 sell, a little trim there would do it. But this is pretty significant, right? It's a bit like SILJ. Even though SILJ was taken out as 2016 high, we've got another multi-year resistance being tested. And it's going to break because we just had 2 business days ago good news. So get out of the way. If silver's running, can you imagine being short? Silver's squeezing. Still stuck saying squeezing. Imagine silver's just breaking out of 39.50 and you start to see silver 40 and you're short heckler. Can you imagine starting a short position or being short and not covering? I mean, that's absolutely obscene. You're just gonna have this stampede of buying. So of course you start to run. So 850 should be achievable if silver starts to run next week. Just boom. I don't care what the RSI is or something. This is just, RSI can stay above 90 for a while. So Heckler, wonderful. I don't think it did a better job in CDE, but it may have done actually. EXK, however, look at this. Look at this. Yes, you got the descending and this little horizontal, but come on. You know, everyone else is just putting in a decent performance, and this guy is just, there's something wrong with it. I actually feel like selling more than I should of this. If there's a drop in the metals next week, this thing will just drop. I don't know, if you got two down days, like silver down 2%, and the next day down 1.5, something like that, this will be straight back down to 5. And that would be demoralizing. I'm not even sure if I'd buy it. Still prefer to buy something else. Uh, I don't know. I'm not sure about the. I don't even think that was bad news. It's just it indicates some, I don't know, insider selling or just not enough buying. This is a small red flag for me. I'll give it some space because it's known to go crazy when silver does, and I do think silver will do a nice big move. So I'm gonna hold for now. But normally you see EXK do moves like CDE, sometimes outperforming CDE when silver runs, but silver hasn't really gone crazy yet. It's just a steady move up, which I quite like. Mag Silver just pretty much copy pasted Pan America. So yeah, next up is 24 for this, and it's just gonna get there on any move up in silver. Probably just takes one day if silver just has a small update. So and I'm not even sure if I'll probably trim it. It's probably the last trim before they merge. They're supposed to merge, right? Pan American and Mag. I wonder when that happens. That'll save me a bit of time having to cover both when they've got the same charts. All right, that's it. So gold, nice. Silver, nice. Miners, nice. Silver outperforming gold. Silver has a better chart. It's only got one resistance instead of two. The SIL Js and GDXJs are outperforming or going to outperform the mid-tier slash seniors. That's also bullish. But I think it's all eyes on silver at the moment. The GDXs, the seniors, they've been consistent. They've done their thing, and they started the recent charge. But I feel like it's the mid to juniors that will continue and outperform now. And I'm just watching silver, these little silver mid tiers. And I do need to, when I get back from holiday, and it might be too late, but I'm going to start looking at the juniors a bit because I can afford it. I can afford to buy like, I don't know, 5 to 10 juniors, just boom, put in a K in each, something like that. Maybe 2K in the ones that I trust and just leave them for a year. Something I need to contemplate. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So